Hello, and welcome to Dreams, Plans, and Scrapbooks, the podcast where fond memories are relived and exciting new journeys are dreamed up on the spot. Sit back and relax. The adventure is about to start.
Hello, and welcome to Dreams, Plans, and Scrapbooks. Today, we are going to be covering our trip that we recently took to Ogunquit, Maine, and I am here joined with my co-host, as always,
Clayton Kreisel.
And my name is Zoe. Like I said, today we're going to be covering all 6 days that we spent in one day in Portland, Maine, and then the rest in Ogunquit, Maine.
Yes. So if you were with us last time, you will recall that we had a wonderful time recapping our time in Washington, D.C., and that was a very fun episode. We took a slightly different approach to that episode than we're going to take today. In that episode, what we decided to do is we decided to kind of go in timeline order, chronological order of what our trip was. And while that was fun, and while that was good for us as we've made memories together, I think what will be really good about today is that we're going to split this up more into a thematic approach. So we've been to Maine together, the two of us, twice now, right, Zoe? And I think that today we'll combine a little bit of well, we'll talk mostly, I guess, about the events of this trip, but we'll probably talk in general about Maine, why we love it so much, kind of taking both those trips into mind.
Yes.
So, as I mentioned, Zoe and I have been twice together. We've went as a full family, Eleanor and Amanda, mommy, coming with us. And so now Amanda and I have been 5 times. And I will do my best not to include all this stuff from there, but it'll be kind of hard not to include some of those details as well. So picking up where we left off last time, we talked about how we went to Washington, D.C. We flew from Washington, D.C. to Boston. We rented a car. We got a little bit of lunch there in Boston, went over to Harvard, got to see Harvard. We had a weird ordeal with our car. Where they wanted to charge us a lot extra for tolls. The rental company
real.
We chose to go with was less than maybe the most pleasant experience we've ever had. And we decided that we would avoid all tolls, which is kind of hard to do whenever the tunnel in Boston is out. So we had to drive through a lot of different back roads and decided we'll make our way over to Harvard, got some coffee, got some snacks, walked around campus, and then headed on up the coast to Maine. Now, first of all, beautiful little drive, wasn't it? Up through like New Hampshire and stuff?
Yes, it was.
What did you think about like just the Northeast in general? Was there anything surprising about it to you?
I'm not going to lie. I remember turning on Taylor Swift on my headphones, falling asleep and then waking up at the cabin. So when I said it was a beautiful drive, I really don't particularly remember it, but I'm sure it was.
She lied. It was no, you didn't lie. It really was a pretty drive. The towns are small. They were pretty, reminding me a lot of, honestly, a little bit of Missouri, but and also each town had
Missouri?
a total. Well, I mean,
you're
just
comparing
in the sense of,
beautiful Maine to Missouri?
Well, first of all, we were in Massachusetts for a lot of that, and then we were in New Hampshire. New Hampshire, by the way, shout out, love the no sales tax thing. That's awesome. Really cool for all of us here in the Midwest who don't have that. We stopped in Portsmouth at a Trader Joe's to buy our groceries before we crossed over into Maine, just so we wouldn't have to pay any sales tax. Pro tip if you're headed up the coast. But then we headed on up the coast and we went to our favorite place in Maine, which is in southern Maine, a little town called Ogunquit, Maine. And we took a bit of a scenic route to get there, driving up through York Beach and stuff, and up Shore Road to come into Ogunquit, really from what most people would probably call the back way. Most people come down from Portland or up from Boston, but they'll go in right off the highway. We kind of took a back route into Ogunquit, going right along the coast, which was a lot of fun. So, like I said, we're going to kind of split this up into themes. And so, how do you want to do this, Zoe? What should we talk about first? Do you want to talk about the cabin? You want to talk about what it's like? Do you want to talk about our experiences there? Does that sound like a good place to start?
I mean, I feel like the best place to start would be like how we started going there, and yeah, the cabin, and then Perkins Cove after that. So
Great. Well, just a little primer. This cabin is owned by Jay and his daughter Courtney. We've been going there now for 15 years. Jay and Jay lost his wife this past year. Well, really, let me think here. Yeah, this last year, and we have gotten the pleasure of getting to know them for the past 15 years. They are a wonderful family, just a beautiful family, and they love the Lord so much. We got to know them because when we were on staff with the Navigators Campus Ministry, they were a family that decided to serve Navigators Camp or Navigators Campus staff, and pastors and ministers and missionaries from all over. They treated them to 3 nights to 4 nights in the cabin for free. And they've been doing that ministry. Oh my goodness, I can't recall when they said they started. I want to say like maybe even in the 80s or something like. I think it was 25 years, 25 or maybe even 30 years that they've been doing this. Whenever we talked, and it's been a pleasure getting to know them over the years. And so my wife and I have been there 5 times. It's where we went on our honeymoon, just days after we were married, and so it was a pleasure to get to be there together. Yeah, so that's how we got connected with the cabin. And Jay, if you do listen to this, Courtney, if you do listen to this, we thank you guys so much for your contribution to the kingdom. Honestly, the kingdom work of God. This has been such a blessing for people to come be refreshed over the years. And we just want to honor Jean and her memory as well, and thank you for the contributions she made to the kingdom over the years as well. But the cabin, oh my goodness, what an amazing place! Just an absolute delight, a treasure, really, a gem for us and our family, and really anybody who stayed there over the years. But Zoe, I'd like to ask you, what are your first impressions as a kid of the cabin? What do you think of it? And then I'll kind of talk about some of my thoughts about it.
I mean, when I first walk into it, I mostly just think about like so quaint and like it's just like everything's so simple and beautiful. I love just getting to. They have this huge window that takes up basically one of the walls, and it like looks out over a waterfall, and that's like kind of to the left. And if you keep going down, there's another pretty big window that looks out over like the ocean, and specifically the little cove, which is Perkins Cove, and it has a bunch of cute shops, and just you can see the footbridge that is only a few, like, I don't know, like a 5 minute walk from the cabin. You can see that, like, going over into the cove, and just it's so simple yet so extravagant at the same time.
Yeah. Mommy and I were kind of trying to think of the words to describe the cabin a few minutes ago. And I think for us, it has a lot of sentimental value and meaning. I mean, obviously, we spent some of the first days of our marriage here, just the two of us, before you were born. And, so there's just a lot of memory there. And so maybe even for us, like it's hard to objectively describe it because it just feels so much like home. There's a saying in Maine, whenever you come in, first of all, Maine is called Vactionland. That's what its nickname is its state nickname is Vactionland. And there's a saying when you come into Maine where they say, this is just the way life should be. And I would say that in the cabin, that's exactly what I feel like, that this is just the way life should be. It's an open room. Whenever you walk in, it's all one big room. It's a studio. There is a very small kitchen. I think you may have already mentioned that. No, you didn't. Okay.
No.
And
I mean, when we mean very small kitchen, it's like a walk-in closet divided in half. Take off like a fourth of that, and then you get it.
Yeah, it's a kitchenette. You can basically fit
Up one
one
person's
person, and you have a counter, and you can turn around, and there's a
another counter.
little counter right there. Is a not really a ton of space to cook in there, but you could, if you needed to, do a little bit of
Hmm.
stuff on a stovetop. You can make tea and things like that in there. And then there's a little bathroom that is also small. Once again,
I
almost
think it's
more.
actually bigger than the kitchen though.
It is, I think so, yeah. And it has a shower and everything you need in there, but the rest of the space is open. They've done some things to make it a little bit more family friendly over the years. They've put up a way for you to divide up the room, which is kind of nice to get to provide a little bit more privacy, especially as the kids have gotten a little older. But the room itself, it's eclectic, so there's no insulation because there doesn't need to be. So basically, you've got studs and you've got
Wood.
wood, right? You've got wood shingles. It's a wood shingled cabin. It has these wonderful windows that you pull a little rope on to get them to open up at the top of the cabin. It lets any heat or hot air that would be in there out. They have installed an air conditioner. You mentioned the big beautiful window with the waterfall in it, and then the way it's decorated just feels very warm and inviting. It's got a lot of local art, crafts, seashells, anchors. You feel like you're at the ocean, and this cabin is made to be on the ocean. It's super simple. You walk out on the deck, and the deck looks into the cove. When I say looks into the cove, I mean you could jump off of the deck into the water.
Mm-hmm.
There's lobster boats coming in and out. You see the footbridge in the cove, and you are located in just the best possible location you could be in. And so yeah, this is just a wonderful place for us to be, and we are so blessed that we get to go there over the years. Um, yeah, so that is a little bit about what it's like to be in the cabin, and we've gotten to enjoy that over the years, and yeah, so the cabin sits in a part of Ogunquit known as Perkins Cove. Now, Perkins Cove is awesome. It's one of the more idyllic and iconic places that you see whenever you look at the Maine coast. As a matter of fact, Zoe was doing a little bit of pre-show getting ready for this, and you want to tell them what happened?
Yeah, I looked up. We were trying to get some music for the intro, and I went onto like this AI generator music thing, but I accidentally had on photos and I didn't know, and I like searched up wholesome small sea town and a picture of like actual like not just inspired Perkins Cove, like actually Perkins Cove like showed up.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't actually AI. I don't think. I think you were looking at royalty free stuff for that. But yeah, whenever you typed in that thing, it was literally a picture of Perkins Cove. It is a very popular destination in the summer. Perkins Cove is made up of basically you sit out on this small peninsula. It sits at the end of this thing called the Marginal Way that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Perkins Cove is made up of a white footbridge that you can walk across to get to town.
And there's mermaids under the
There's
bridge.
mermaids under the bridge. We're pretty sure. I think we've seen them a couple times now. And in the cove itself is a harbor for a bunch of lobster boats. And these lobster boats go out each morning. They come back in. The footbridge is a drawbridge, and the drawbridge goes back and forth, letting the boats in and out. And these lobstermen bring their catch in every morning. And so we would wake up to the lobster boats coming in, and you just see the people from the cove walking, the shop owners walking right down to the lobstermen and buying lobsters right off the boat. And so the cove is a mixture of gift shops, candy shops, clothing stores, and of course restaurants. And these restaurants are
Are
buying their
so
lobster.
good.
They're buying their lobster right off the boat, and their other seafood too. They got cod or halibut, tilapia, all of these other things that you might be eating there, crab. And so the Cove. What is your thoughts about the Cove?
I don't know. It's sort of similar. I feel like it has the same vibe as the cabin, but almost a little more like I don't know. It seems like a town that maybe should have been a town like 40 or 50 years ago. Like, it just does, it kind of seems frozen in time. And like, there's like, I don't know, it just looks so, it looks like what I picture like an English little town looking like almost.
Yeah, so it is called New England, right? So of course the English have very much inspired what these sea towns look like, these little harbor towns along the ocean, and I think that's probably right. But it has its own charm, it has its own flair, its own culture. Perkins Cove, and we'll talk more about Ogunquit even as a city in a little bit, but Perkins Cove is really that place, like you mentioned, that really feels stuck in time. It is very touristy, don't get me wrong. Everything's super small and super tight and super close, though, because you're basically fitting a couple thousand people at a time on this very small plot of land sticking out into the ocean. Buildings are super tight. The driving the road is a one-way street that goes around the cove, and that cars don't really try to drive it much because there's so many people. Parking is also super expensive on the Cove, so that's a tip. If you ever go, you probably don't want to park in the Cove. You probably want to park up in Ogunquit and either take the trolley down or honestly just walk down using the Marginal way, or just the general side street there to walk down, because it is a difficult it's a difficult place to park in. And even if you can get parked in there, then you've got to try to get out of there, and so it's expensive. I would not suggest doing that. We are blessed in the sense of where we get to stay, we get parking, so we don't have to pay for parking. We're able just to walk there.
Yes.
And so some of the shops there that we liked. What were some of the shops that we really enjoyed?
The Perkins Cove Candy Company, was that what it was called?
I think it was just called Perkins Cove Candies.
Yeah, their company.
Yeah, just Perkins Cove's Candies. And there's a couple of these stores. There's one in Perkins Cove, obviously the original one, and then there's another one up in town, or on the main road there, Highway 1, I think is what it's called.
And they have like the mix of, they have like, the like artificial stuff that you can get really anywhere, but then they also make really good like chocolate covered pretzels and like truffles, and then like caramels and like just a lot of good like chocolates.
The sea salt caramels, those, and they have saltwater taffy as well. But the sea salt caramels are the ones that if I don't mention, Mommy will go nuts about. And I will say they are amazing. We've been to a lot of different places. A lot of people talk about Cease. I think it's called Cease Candy. Is that what it's called? The one out in
Cease Candy, like S.
I think so. Is this one? It's out in California.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So and those are good. They're very good. But I would say these are better. We've been to Switzerland. The kind of, when you think of gourmet chocolate, or you think of milk chocolate, of course, like everybody talks about Swiss chocolate, and Swiss chocolate's good.
Don't get me wrong. That candy, the Perkins Cove candy was good. You cannot compare it to Switzerland chocolate.
Okay. They're just a little different, right? So Switzerland is focused on their actual chocolate. This is the caramel, the sea salt caramel in with the chocolate. Like, it's stellar. And I think maybe it's just that we enjoyed these even better. So these were delicious, just little treats you could get whenever you go into the Cove. There was lots of clothing stores as well.
Yeah, I think Mom was the only one who actually bought any clothing from there.
I bought a hat.
Oh yeah, you bought a hat.
But yes, Mom found a place. What was it called? Like Maine Originals or something like that.
Yeah, that like had the owner like designed all of like the prints and like printed them off on her own little like printer and like did them onto like sweaters and stickers and all of that. But mostly I really enjoyed, we mostly just window shopped when we would shop, because there's so much fun stuff, and like there were a few things that you would see repeats of, but like it wasn't like most other gift stores where it's like after you see one or two they just have variations of the same thing. They were all different, and that was really cool. But really, I just loved all the restaurants there. My personal favorite was the Lobster Shack. We went there like I think the first or second night we were there, and I had a seafood chowder that was amazing. And I know their lobster rolls are supposed to be really good, but I don't I don't usually love seafood, and the thing is, I don't usually love lobster, and I definitely don't love lobster enough to pay that much for lobster. But yeah,
Yeah, the Lobster Shack is one of those places that's special to us. Jay, whenever we got there the very first time, right after we got married, and he said he doesn't do this a lot, and so I appreciate that he did this for us. 15 years ago, when Amanda and I first went there, Jay picked us up from the train station. We were really poor. I don't know how else to put it. We didn't have hardly any money. It cost us all our money basically just to get out there. But we didn't really plan on spending much money when we were there because, well, we didn't have to spend anyway. And we were just going to walk along and kind of enjoy the coast. And so we get out there and he asked us if we had had lobster before, and we both said no. And he said to us, he said, well, let me treat you. And he took us to the Lobster Shack, and we both got a lobster roll, and we were blown away. It's the first time either of us had ever had it. You know, the flakiness of it, whenever it's not really, I guess flaky isn't really the right term.
it's not flaky at all.
It's very tender, and it's very it adopts flavors very well, but it's just got that quintessential seafood taste, and it's obviously very rare, and we had never had it. And then the way that they do it in the lobster rolls with some of the seasonings and the spices and the sauces that they put on it just bring out the flavor all the more. And so the Lobster Shack always has a great place for us. But this time, believe it or not, we didn't have any lobster.
I don't know. We didn't have a single bit of lobster all 6 days we were in Maine.
No, Mommy told me today that she kind of regrets that.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
So I'm kind of the opinion, unpopular opinion, that
Lobster's overrated. I agree with you.
It's just like you pay a lot more than you do for crab, and to me it tastes a lot like crab. You do get more meat oftentimes, but I think it tastes a lot like crab, and you pay a lot more for it. And to be honest, I like fish about as much, like cod. I like it about as much as I like lobster. So I got a cod sandwich this time, which was awesome. And what did you get there?
I just
You already said that, yeah.
I got the seafood
The
chowder. Yeah.
Yeah, and the chowder was super good. That was very good.
Yes.
What, since you got a cheeseburger?
No, a hamburger. She hates cheeseburgers. She's
yes.
the pickiest kid on the face of the planet.
That's right. I don't remember what Mom get. Do you remember?
I think she got fish tacos.
Oh, yes, she did. And those were quite good, she said.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I think, is that the only place in the Cove that we had an actual meal?
Yeah, pretty sure. Because we also, outside of Perkins Cove, if like you take like a 15-minute walk or you walk along the Marginal Way, which is this amazing footpath that's like right over the ocean, and it connects Perkins Cove to like more downtown Ogunquit. We mostly ate in Ogunquit, Maine, because while we love seafood, they in Perkins Cove, it feels like, you know, every restaurant there is, of course, seafood restaurants, and we weren't going to eat seafood 6 nights in a row. So we went down, we walked the Marginal Way, which was slightly longer than just walking like against the road, but why wouldn't you? Because you get this amazing view of the ocean and like the rocks and just everything.
Yep.
But we had walked down there. We went to a place called Cornerstone Pizza, which was super good. It just was probably some of the best pizza I've ever had. And then where else did we go?
Yeah, so staying on this theme of food, we ate Cornerstone Pizza. A little bit further down in the town, there's a place called the Greenery Cafe, which is one of our most, like, we just absolutely love it. It's just one of the most
amazing.
Yeah, it's funny because in some ways it markets itself as kind of a diner of sorts, like you would think of like a Midwest diner, but it's absolutely not a Midwest diner. First of all, it has really good baked goods. We got a lemon curd poppy seed muffin. We got 2 of them, didn't we? Mm-hmm. We took on the airplane with us on the way home, and those are just delicious. They have they're very soft and moist. The sweetness of the curd is not overpowering. Sometimes
it's actually
you can
really
make it
sour.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you can make lemon. You can try to make it super sweet, and they just let the sourness come through. I thought that was super good. Mm-hmm. And I've never known what poppy seeds add to a thing other than making you not be able to like pass a drug test. But I've never known what poppy seeds
I
add to
do.
the flavor of a
They
thing,
they
but it
really.
does.
I've baked. When I was making them a poppy seed a muffins found them. I didn't have poppy seeds, and they just don't. They don't. It adds something that you can't quite describe. It adds like a little like the actual muffin. It changes the flavor of it.
Almost like it gives it like maybe a floral sort of vibe going on. That's really, really nice. Yeah. And so we ate at the Greenery Cafe like we have the last 2 times, and I don't think there was anybody disappointed. I'm trying to remember what I got there.
You got the breakfast BLT.
Did I? Is that what I got?
I think
no,
so.
I
That's
talked
what
about
I
getting the
got.
breakfast BLT.
It'll come back in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't recall what I got. I know I got hash browns. I know I got that. But it was really good. Now I can't remember exactly what I got. I got the biscuits and gravy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got the biscuits and gravy and was very happy.
And then where else did we eat? We ate pizza, Greenery Cafe. I feel like there's another. Oh, the place we ate the last night with the nachos.
Well, let's talk about that in just a second because there's also the Love Shack.
Oh yes.
Love Shack is, and we grabbed that to go to the beach with us, which we'll talk about a lot of these other things we did here in a few minutes. But we grabbed Love Shack, which is a juicery and acai bowl place, and that acai bowl was phenomenal, as it always is.
I love smoothies. I love them so much. I literally remember the name of the smoothie we had like 4 years ago, and so I could get it on the menu when we came back. It's called the Flamingo, and it was just incredible.
Is it passion fruit, not dragon fruit? Passion fruit, right?
It's dragon fruit, coconut, banana, strawberry. It's so good.
Yeah, so we went to the Love Shack. Mommy and I went on a date one night. You and Sissy stayed back in the cabin. We went on a date to a place called the Crooked Pine, which is really good. I had not the best experience this time, but it had nothing to do with the restaurant and everything to do with me. I was having a migraine that day, unfortunately, and so it kind of ruined the experience for me, but the food was still very good. I actually ended up just getting a burger that night. But I was not actually disappointed with the food. I just didn't feel very good.
Yeah. Anyway, but the last restaurant we went to on the last night, like, we weren't even planning to eat anything big. But we were like, why not? It's our last night there. And we got 2 orders of fish and chips and these open-faced nachos. And the place was called...
The Bricks and Brine, which is actually the sister restaurant to the Greenery Cafe.
I thought it was
not the Greenery Cafe, the Crooked Pine.
Okay.
Crooked Pine. Yes. And so this was a treat that we did not plan on. We had been kind of watching our budget. So as I mentioned in the last episode, almost every single meal in DC cost almost $100. And so we were kind of watching our budget a little bit while we were in Ogunquit. And we got to the last day and we realized we actually had more money than we thought to spend. And so we did decide, we were all pretty hungry, so we decided to eat a bigger dinner that night. We were walking home and we ran across the Bricks and Brine. And it was, I had been wanting fish and chips very badly.
Mm-hmm. This was probably my top 3 meals of the entire trip. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, so we were going to go to this place called the Footbridge Lobster. Yeah, that right by the footbridge in Perkins Cove. But for the same price at a sit-down restaurant, which is the Bricks and Brine,
we could get fish and chips.
We could get fish and chips and a bunch of other things. So we ended up getting a couple different items here. And I want to talk about this meal for a second because it was so good. We got the fish and chips, like you mentioned. I think we got 2 orders of those.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
The open-faced nachos, which these were my favorite. They were like tostades, but like the tortillas were more crispy, and then they melted everything on it, and it was just amazing. And then we also got just like a tossed green like salad. Yeah,
so it's funny because I do not love avocado, but on those open-faced nachos, they came with
a lot of
guac, and they came with tomatoes. They came with onions, but the onions were diced, and I don't know if they slightly cooked them or something. They had a good flavor to them, and most of the time I don't like raw onions. I think they were
pickled.
Maybe. What was the meat that was on them? They weren't chicken, were they beef?
It was chorizo.
Oh, you're right. It was chorizo. They had like a Kojita cheese on them. And then they had this wonderful sauce. I don't know if it was sriracha or if it
It
had like
had
a
a little bit of a
mayonnaise.
kick, like not like
Just slightly,
just
not
slightly.
much.
It tasted like there's a lot of paprika, maybe some chili powder, some like mayonnaise. I don't know, mayonnaise yogurt.
Whatever it was a yummy, yummy sauce. And they put it right on those nachos. And yeah, you could eat them kind of like a tostada, like Zoe said, because it was kind of a corn tortilla that they just like flash
Fried.
fried and put on there. And it was, they had like 4 or 5 of them and it was super good. So we ate that. We had the wedge salad. That was super, super good. Basic, but yeah, just really fresh. Maine has a lot of laws surrounding their organic food. They actually have a different standard for organic food than the USDA does, and it's better. And so their food was just super, super good. And we sat outside because that's all that they sit there is all outside.
And it was just beautiful. Then my little sister Eleanor we made some like friends, and they were like, "Oh yeah, are you gonna be here tomorrow?" And we probably would have like hung out, but unfortunately this was our last day, so we were able to make some friends, but sadly had to go.
Yeah, so I said Maine is vacation land, and this family was from New York City. Their kids play baseball. The little girl Valentina, my gosh, she had an arm, and she was only like 9, but she just had like such perfect form and had such a great arm. Their son, he was also a ball player. So it was really fun to connect with him. There was another man there that really enjoyed baseball. So the 3 of us started talking. We ended up hanging out for like 15, 20 minutes afterwards, just talking about baseball and life. And I was able to, try to work the gospel message in a little bit. Didn't really get very far with that in that short amount of time. But I was able to talk with them a little bit about what we do, about who we are, about our life, about why we started coming up there to Maine. And so I wish we could. I wish it wouldn't have been our last night there. For 2 reasons. One, I would have loved to have went back to that restaurant. And you bet we will be going back, assuming, of course, that it's still there and in business, which I imagine it will be, because I'm telling everyone I meet that goes there to eat at Bricks and Brine, because it is awesome. But we plan on going back there again. But maybe we could have even met them back there or somewhere else in town again to kind of spend some time with them, because our families really seem to connect well. So that's kind of a lot of the food. Oh, we almost forgot about the bread and roses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was slightly underwhelmed by the whoopie pie I got.
Really?
It was very, very, very sweet.
Well, in Maine, you have to get whoopie pies.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've had ones in Missouri that are better, so...
Oh, wow. Well, the Bread and Roses Cafe typically has these monster cookies that we go for, and we got there just a little late, and they were sold out. So we did not get them this time, unfortunately. But the Bread and Roses Cafe has been there since Amanda and I started going 15 years ago, and we were really hoping to be able to go back and get those cookies, but they
it's
weren't
fine.
there. They weren't there. Yeah, so that kind of covers a lot of the food we had in Ogunquit, but we'll talk about our Portland day and some of the food we had there in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to go back to Perkins Cove, and you mentioned the Marginal Way, and so let me kind of try to set the scene for you if I can. The Perkins Cove sits out, obviously jetting out into the ocean. Then they've got this thing called the Marginal Way, and the Marginal Way runs right along the rocky coasts. Now, if you've ever been to the Northeast, and especially up in Maine, beaches are a little bit different than they are, like, say, down south. There's a lot more rock. There's a lot more like old boulders and things like that sticking out in the ocean. And this is the case here in Perkins Cove, Maine. And this is why you have such good lobster up there. These rock lobsters, they dwell in these rocks. And so really rocky beaches, you'll see birds out on little rock islands out in the middle of the ocean, lots of whales up in here, even some seals as you go further north, and sea lions.
We got sea puffins.
No, those weren't puffins. I looked it up later. Those were definitely not puffins. There are some further north, like up, but that was too far south.
What were they?
They were a type of pelican. I can't
That's
remember.
boring.
Yeah, they weren't puffins, but you walk right along the Marginal Way, as Zoe said, and it is about a mile and a half long route that has been preserved by the
That's nothing.
city of Ogunquit, and there are some houses built along there, but between the Marginal Way and there's nothing between you and the ocean when you're walking along the Marginal Way except for rock. Um, and you can get down and climb on these rocks, and in low tide you can go pretty far out. High tide, obviously the water's crashing up against them and it just feels very powerful. And it's a bit overwhelming, but it's still beautiful. These are rocks that Amanda and I like to go out and sit on and like read our Bible and just like spend time praying and being with God in his creation and we've done those several times over the years. The girls, of course, enjoy the adventure of climbing around the rocks, and I get into that too, of figuring out how to get over to certain rocks. It's kind of like a mixture of hiking and rock climbing, a little bit like being in Colorado, if you will, but the ocean. And so you can go along the Marginal Way, but then the Marginal Way ends at Ogunquit Beach. And Ogunquit Beach is much more of a sandy beach. It's a long sandy beach, and when there's low tide, there's tons of sand out there, and when it's high tide, there's still a good amount of sand. But you can do boogie boarding. The waves don't get as high as they do in the Pacific or the South Pacific by any means, but there is definitely big enough waves to surf. We saw surfers out there a lot. And it's super relaxing. One thing I like, there's not nearly as many seagulls out there, so like you don't have to like guard your food and stuff.
You still have to guard your food.
So we spent time at a couple of these sandy beaches as well as the rocky beaches.
Yeah, we also spent time at like York Beach, which is
Yes.
the beach right off of the
Nubble Lighthouse.
Neville Lighthouse,
Yep.
and it is like it's actually it's just like this long sandy bank. When we went there, it was a really nice day, so the water was nice and like warm. And this was probably my favorite like beach day experience. We just like walked around, like we went up and got some fries from like the town nearby, ate them on the beach, just like swam, and it was just incredible. And then we also spent another day kind of on the Ogunquit beach side, but
Yeah. So York Beach is in York, which is duh, but it sits about 9 miles south of Ogunquit. So we had to drive to that one. And as Zoe mentioned, you drive to, you can see this lighthouse called Nubble Lighthouse, which is really beautiful. And you drive down, and this beach feels a little bit more like maybe if you're familiar with like a Southern California beach, like maybe like a Newport or a Santa Monica.
yes, that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's got a boardwalk. It's got a lot of shops right along the ocean. So the two beaches that are there is there's one called Short Sands Beach and there's one called Long Sands Beach. We went to Short Sands Beach on our last vacation. We also did Long Sands, but we did more Short Sands Beach last time. And it sits north of the lighthouse. And it's in a little area that's kind of a little cove, and it has like a Bowl-O-Rama there, and like an arcade, and some beach shops, and some other things. A lot of little restaurants up in that little area. But it's called Short Sands because regardless of whether it's high tide or low tide, there isn't a ton of sand. You pretty much just go straight into the water. And then Long Sands Beach is exactly the opposite. Long Sands Beach, when there's high tide, you're probably looking at, well, first of all, you come off of the quay. They call it a quay. You come off of the quay down into the beach, and you've maybe got on high tide about 15 to 20 feet before you're in the ocean. But whenever it's low tide, the drop off is so far out that in low tide, you're walking probably, I don't know, maybe 200 yards. We're talking about maybe like 2 football fields before you hit the ocean, and it's all just flat sand. And there's seashells that get strung up on there, and there are all sorts of like sea life, and of course you can build castles and everything. And so we did York Beach those 2 days, and then yes, we did have a very fun day at Ogunquit Beach. And you said that was your favorite beach day.
I said that the short sands was
not
really my
short
favorite.
sands. We didn't do short sands. Oh, you're talking about the very first day before we moved. I see what you're saying. So
The one that we did right after we saw Noble Lighthouse.
That's long sands.
Okay, well,
We didn't go to short sands. Long sands is the
but
one
there
that we
was
went
such
to.
a short distance between us and the water at all
Well,
times.
you were just listening. No. If you remember, we were there whenever the tide started to go out. Do you remember how far out we had to go to get?
Oh yeah, that's true. Sorry, I'm thinking about when we first got there. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, because we got there just after high tide, like the height of high tide. So yeah, some of the things that we did this time, we spent a lot more time playing in the sand because the water was pretty cold. You would find pockets of warm water, and in general, that's kind of what Maine beaches are. The water's going to be fairly cold, and we picked a beautiful time to be there. Like the highest temperature we had the whole time we were there was like 83 degrees, which was amazing. But at the same time, the water was going to be cold. So with the water being cold, we spent a lot of time in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had fun as a family. The first day we were actually over in the Ogunquit side, and so there was rocks, and then you walk down into the sand, and we decided to build a Chrysal River is what we called it. It was a lot of fun. We dug, we buried me. If you remember, we buried me up to my knees in sand.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also built a dam to dam up some of the water that was coming out of the rocks from high tide. There was just like a little pool. So we pooled up some of that water, and then we built a river down to a big old hole that Sissy had dug. And this river was, I don't know, probably 50 feet, 60 feet long, something like that. It was pretty long.
It was, yeah.
And then we broke the dam and watched all the water run down into the hole that Sissy had built, which was super fun. You built a awesome sea turtle sculpture out of the sand. How long did you spend working on that?
Only 30 minutes.
Really?
Uh-huh. It was just easy.
Wow. It looked good.
Actually, the seahorse took way longer. There's too many little details.
I forgot about the seahorse. That was impressive too.
We didn't get a picture of that one because it got stepped on.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. And then, of course, the thing about all this is the tide comes in and takes it all.
Yep.
And so we spent a lot of time having fun, though, in those beaches. And then we'd walk, of course, back to the cabin, except for when we were in York Beach. We went up, got showered off, and then hopped in the car and drove back to the cabin. Yeah, so wonderful times at the beaches there. I am not a huge fan of sandy beaches myself, but the girls really enjoy them. So I'm glad that we got to have those times. We spent 2 afternoons out doing that. And That was a lot of fun.
One of the days we went up to, it's actually, I think it's the capital of Maine, is Portland.
I think Bangor is the capital.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. Let me check, but you keep going.
I think I know Portland's something. I think it's either the biggest
Well, it's
city.
the biggest city.
Okay, that might be what it is. It's the biggest city in Maine. And even being so, it is a very small city. But we went up there and we just did a lot of window shopping. We spent like the whole afternoon shopping. But while they had great souvenirs up there, all of them said like, Perkins Cove. I mean, not Perkins Cove, Portland, Maine. And we wanted to get stuff that said Perkins Cove and the Marginal Way and stuff like that.
Yeah, they had some. You're right. I almost bought a hat, but then I wanted a Perkins Cove hat, so I found pretty much the same version of it down in Perkins Cove. It just said Perkins Cove. I did just look it up, by the way, and I already knew this. I don't know why I didn't think about it. It's Augusta. Augusta is the capital. I knew that. But anyways, keep going.
I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, we did window shopping, and then we I don't think we actually ate a meal there, but we did have my dad.
Yes, we did. We had a meal in.
Oh yes. This is the whole reason we actually went up.
It is the entire reason we made the 45-minute drive was for this.
It's a breakfast place called Hot Suppa, and it is a amazing brunch place that we just love. We had it last time, and we just like were obsessed with it, so we had to come back. We got like these fried chicken waffles, and then
yeah, it's funny. So it is a Southern comfort food restaurant up in the Northeast. And you know what's funny about it is we're from the what would traditionally be called the South. Now, granted, we're not like Mississippi or Louisiana or anything like that, but we know how to make chicken and waffles. We know how to make biscuits and gravy. We know how to make home fries and some of the stuff that you would consider being down here. And this cuisine, it shouldn't be something that you would think of Maine being able to make incredibly well, but my gosh, they could. It was unbelievable. The flavor palette that they have there is just very flavorful. Nothing was bland. Everything just, but also not like overly spicy, not like overdone. Like you left there feeling good, and none of it felt super greasy, because that can be one problem obviously with Southern comfort food is you can leave feeling just a little bit sick sometimes. But yeah, so I think did we both have the
chicken and waffles?
Yeah. We had the chicken and waffles. It also had cheese curds in this one, which was interesting. I liked them, but
I didn't love that part. But
yeah, I had hash browns this time. I think the last time we went there, I got the cheesy grits, which I like cheesy grits and molasses. But I wanted to try the hash browns this time. Actually, I don't think they use molasses there. I think they use Maine maple syrup, which makes sense. And so Portland is a really fun city. As Zoe mentioned, there's the shop section that's called Old Port. We have an ice cream place there that we adore called Gelato Fiasco.
It's actually not an ice cream place. It's a gelato place.
Fair enough. It's a gelato place. I think it originated up in Brunswick, if I'm remembering that correctly, called Gelato Fiasco. And you can actually sometimes find it in stores. Like health food stores and stuff. We've actually found it out here in Missouri before.
Really?
Yeah, but they only have 2 shops and they're not overly big. So I'm not sure how they got like their stuff distributed. But Gelato Fiasco in Portland, really good. And I would strongly suggest you going there. If you've never had gelato before, it is creamy and good. Where else do we go? Another thing that Maine is famous for are their potato flour donuts. And I stopped at one of their potato flour donut shops, and I got a cinnamon sugar donut because I love cinnamon sugar donuts, and it was phenomenal.
I wouldn't know. He ate it all while I was in a shop, and I was like, "Can I have a bite?" And he's like, "It's gone." And I was like,
well, that's because we got you gelato. I didn't get gelato this time. I took a couple bites, though. Sorry about. Yeah, I should have saved the bite of the donut. My bad. It was so good. I wanted.
Well, gelato was so good. I wanted
it. So that was our Portland day. We were gonna ride a train. We did not end up riding the train. They've got a miniature, fun little train you can ride around. We didn't end up doing that because it was under maintenance that day, which stunk. We also thought about taking a ferry out to an island that Amanda and I have been out to before. And we decided not to do that day either. We had honestly had a really good day, and it was about time to be heading home. And so we just decided not to. We did grab Tandem Coffee, which is probably the best coffee shop that I've had while I've been out in Maine. And then we headed back home. By home, I mean Ogunquit, of course, because that's kind of what we call home whenever we're out there. So our Portland day was fun. One thing I will also say about Portland. I've been to Portland several times now over the years, starting all the way back in about 2014. And the first couple times that I went, I thought Portland was awesome. Amanda and I even stayed there a couple nights one time because we really enjoyed the scenery, the town. It has a very fun feel to it. It's pretty small. It's only got about 80,000 people, but it has an awesome airport and just a lot of life. However, we went during the pandemic, and I know that Maine took the pandemic shutdowns pretty heavily. They had a lot of pretty serious laws about being out and about. And so when we were there in 2021,
it was
run down.
Yeah.
It was not really a pleasant city to be in. However, 3 years later, I would say that it has rebounded, and it feels like it used to feel. And it feels safe, and it feels clean, and it feels like it's got like I said, just a lot of life and a lot of culture. And it was a pleasant city to be in again. So, if you're curious, if you were there during the pandemic, if you're curious if it has rebounded or recovered, it has, for sure. And so, yeah, okay, as we're kind of starting to wrap things up here about Maine, yeah, is there anything that you just wanted to mention or talk about that we didn't talk about? It's okay if you can't really think of anything.
I mean, I think we did actually a pretty good job of covering like the essence of Maine.
Yeah, and you're talking about a place that's just charming.
Mm-hmm.
It's slower. It's a simple place to be. We didn't talk this time about Acadia or Bar Harbor or anything up that direction because that wasn't involved in this trip. Maybe we'll have to do that sometime. Maybe we'll have to come back and talk about Bar Harbor and some of the experiences
like
we had up there.
Like a scrapbooking Maine episode of like the last trip we took, not this one, but one before that.
I did think of one thing we didn't talk about that we should talk about before we get off here. And actually, I think this actually is a great way to end because this kind of summarizes, I feel like, the whole trip. We always love it whenever we find something new that we didn't know because we've been there now 5 times, and we spent a lot of life in this one little area in Ogunquit. But this was the first time that we ever took our car and drove to the top of Mount Agamenticus. Mount Agamenticus is not the highest point in Maine. That's actually up around Bar Harbor and Mount Desert Island. But we did drive to the top of Mount Agamenticus, which is a kind of the highest point in this whole area. And you get up above a lot of the trees and you can see out over the ocean. And on a clear day, you can see as far as 60 miles away. And you can see the lighthouses and you can see the Cove, and you can see beautiful, beautiful landmarks and churches and mills and things off in the distance. And so we did get to drive to the top of that. It was getting ready to rain whenever we were there, but it was just such a majestic view, and we got to enjoy that new adventure together. We got to kind of in a visual way summarize the entirety of our journey and our trip and the things we love about Maine just by looking over that whole place. So what was your thoughts on Agamenticus? I know that you guys were kind of ready to go home, I think, whenever we were headed up there. But
yeah, I thought it was really pretty. It was just like the perfect mix of getting to see the mountains and the ocean. And
yeah, it was a wonderful place to be. So we love Maine. We will always love Maine as a family. We will probably be going back. Jay, thank you so much. Courtney, thank you so much for the ministries that you do out there. We plan to come back. Our family will always feel like it's home. And if you ever have a chance to go to Maine, we would love for you to go. And if you need tips, by all means, ask us. We'd love to show you. I think that's about it. We can't wait to join you again. We're probably going to go back and do some attraction episodes, I think, coming up in the next few weeks. We'll talk more about Disneyland and some of the fun things that we do there. I don't know exactly. We haven't decided. We'll probably do some of the classic rides, I imagine. Yeah, like because we've always done these like thrill rides, and so we'll probably do more of the classic rides coming up. But thank you so much for joining us. We are always delighted to recap our adventures for you and for us so that we have them for the future. God bless, and you have yourself a wonderful day.